Yeah. Well, we can start now. I've begun the recording.
Oh, well, this works perfectly. Hello and welcome to Two Engineers, One Podcast, the dirtiest show on the internet where we're going to discuss your wildest fantasies.
I
Nope,
don't.
that's not
Whoa,
happening.
wait.
We are
No.
just
We're
discussing random engineering topics.
do I still sound okay? Is my voice like?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, that's good. Hopefully, I'm not going to like deafen anybody.
If he deafens anyone or if we are deafening you, please let us know.
Actually, don't. I don't want to be sued in any aspect whatsoever.
Turn up the volume, make sure your grandpa's hearing aid is in perfect earshot, and just fucking blow his eardrums out.
So I pretty much for anybody listening, what this is essentially going to be is we're just going to sit here. We're going to have like a topic, right? And we're probably going to cover it for 5 to 10 minutes, and then we're just going to talk about as much bullshit as we want because that's what we're going to do.
Because fuck you, you're going to listen.
Yes, I don't. Well, let's be nice to people.
No,
Like,
well, they're not. They're not going to listen.
You're going to offend all 3 people who are going to catch this. And if I spend 20 minutes, if I spend 20 minutes trying to put a bunch of like tags on the video, maybe you might even offend a 5th person.
Oh my goodness gracious. For all 5 people listening, if I offend you, don't let me know.
Yeah, right. Well, what is our topic for today? First, actually, let's introduce ourselves in some aspect, right? So,
should we use our real names or should we use code names? Because, for all 5 viewers listening, do we want our real names out there or do we just want to...
Well, I'm going to say my name is Keel.
Oh, well, I'll be Calvin. Because fuck it, why not? You'll never know if that's my real name. For all 5 viewers listening, Keelio and Calvin are as much information as you're getting. Unless he somehow says my name later on in the recording.
It'll probably happen.
Yeah, well, you'll probably know by the end of this.
But anyway, yeah, so our topic is what? How do engineers approach video games?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I've just been playing a bunch of Jedi Survivor, and I thought it was a cool topic because I've seen all TikToks about the ways that people kind of just use the abilities in game. They're using Tears of the Kingdom, making these really elaborate contraptions. And I just wanted to get your thoughts, since you are also an engineer, on how exactly like difficult bosses, your style when it comes to gaming, and just in general, how do you approach video games?
Well, for a little bit of context, right? So I'm a chemical engineer. Justin's a mechanical engineer. And
well, there you go. Now they know my name. Already happened.
Oh yeah, that's right. Whoops. Yeah, his name's Justin, but you don't know which Justin.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so
I guess the way that I approach them kind of varies depending on the game, but for the most part, I think like a lot of the newer games are incorporating a lot more creativity because like video games of the past, like especially if you want to talk about like Tears of the Kingdom, right? Like Legend of Zelda was a lot more linear than it is today. Like in the past. So
yeah, I feel like the open world approach is becoming more and more prevalent in games in general.
So because you have access to like the whole open world thing, it means that you're able to take some more time to like prepare for things. So I think like when it comes to the problems that you face in the game, there's a certain degree of how prepared you are will determine your ability to solve the problem. So especially with Tears of the Kingdom, like a lot of the creativity you could use is just primarily based on how many resources you have. Like, and those resources can be crazy expensive because like all the shit you see on like, TikTok or YouTube shorts of like people just, making giant mechs, with flaming dicks and shit are all just...
It's
a ridiculous amount of farming has to take place to make a lot of that. To my knowledge, I don't know. I haven't exactly beaten the game, so I don't know. Like, if at in-game level,
no spoilers in the comment below. By the way, no spoilers.
No.
Probably going to end up putting that tagline in there so that we can get some relevancy off of this.
Right. Well, I don't want spoilers because I'm still playing the game. Yeah, I think really like the way I approach things is I try to be as prepared as I can, because a lot of the problems you can kind of just solve if you have enough, materials and stuff. Like my thing is like I enjoy a grind in a video game, like to just sit there and like maybe farm some stuff, get my shit together, so that when I approach certain problems, it's like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, I'm prepared for this. Here, let me throw out like all this stuff that I've farmed. And it'll make me feel more accomplished, because it's like, yeah, I worked hard to achieve this goal or solve this puzzle, etc., etc.
Well, I mean, you with Dokkan in general are also just, massively collector and wanting to get every unit maxed out, everything that you possibly can.
I'm in the process, by the way, of leveling all my SRs to max level, because I've run out.
In case anyone is also listening, this man spends at least probably 2 to 3 hours before bed while laying down.
I don't anymore, because now, like, my girlfriend hates that. So, it's usually like in the morning, as I'll just spend like 30 minutes doing all the dailies and stuff. The problem is now, like with those games, like the gacha games, like when you get to like such a high level and you have like a retarded amount of like stamina or like energy, it takes you like so much time to feel like, all right, I'm good for today. I did all that I can do, but because I have like 200 energy. Like it takes me like an hour to get rid of all that.
You only got 200 energy. I got 400 energy. How dare you?
I think you don't.
I know I don't. I don't play Dokkan anymore. My luck has just been insane when it comes to trying to summon off of those games. Mm-hmm. I showed you the screenshot yesterday of what I got to, right? The SR, or the whatever the frick it is.
You got a SSR of the Bulma, right? You get the LR, yeah.
But like gacha games, I've just stopped playing those in favor of single player, because multiplayer is just trash now with all these people just going.
Wait, no, I bet you. I think it's because we're getting older and we don't like multiplayer as much. I think that's
what it is. I don't think it's that. I think it's the fact that all multiplayer games revolve around first-person or third-person shooters, and there's not anything outside of like World of Warcraft or really shitty RPGs.
You kind of right.
All revolve around. Yeah, I mean, think about the last game that you played that had a good story that was also multiplayer online and wasn't a Call of Duty or Battlefield game.
I honestly can't.
I can't either. I mean, Final Fantasy XIV is an exception too, but that's all based online, and it's basically World of Warcraft for anime weebs. Mm-hmm. Like, there's not any game currently being developed that I know of, or, that is out right now, that has a good story, you can play with your friends, and you work towards your friends with that story. Like, it'd be one thing to have, like, a 2-player game where it's like, oh, this is co-op, but the co-op is basically based on online performance. Or if you got a group of like 8, and the game was meant to be played with 8 people, and that's how you progress with the story, like, I think that would be a really cool way to explore or to do something else. But everything has just evolved into, how fast can I rack up a kill streak, and then send attack dogs at someone?
Yeah,
like, I don't want to play that anymore. I've grown out of the shooters. Mm-hmm. They're just not fun for me.
Right. No,
they're more rage-inducing. I feel like I need to work out after I've played like three games of COD.
But see, like I always loved playing games like that, not because like I loved the multiplayer and I loved getting all the kill streaks. Like for me, it was like a social thing. Like it was like I want to play with my friends, or I just kind of want to like the next day. Like we're talking like middle and high school for us, right? So like so like you would like get like a gold gun in COD, or some stupid kill streak in Halo, and you just want to tell your friends like on Monday or something, or show them in some way. Like that's the only reason I feel like that's most of the reason I played for it. I did like when Call of Duty was like first a thing, for like my first introduction to Call of Duty. I actually really liked the campaigns. I thought they were kind of cool. Like World at War, where it was kind of like a snapshot into history. I loved that shit. I thought that was dope.
I mean, but after so many like
yes, but it did get old.
I think Yeah, I think the very first time you experience a first-person shooter, you're definitely locked in for a good bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then once real life starts catching up with you, like college or work, or if you just don't have time to play anymore because school's gotten too busy, like you kind of just get sucked out of it, and not you're just not as hooked as you once were. It doesn't have its appeal anymore.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally get what you're saying. I totally agree with
But
that.
like I like the fact that the games that I'm playing currently, I would love to have someone else be able to like join into my party. But at the same time, like single player games, I think offer you something that multiplayer games can't, and that I think I'm becoming more of a story aspect than you know
Mm-hmm.
that. The other multiplayer aspect of it too is that there are strategy games like Master Duel, like any kind of card game remote that you can play, but those end up devolving into gotcha games because they're basically based on pull rates and cards.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know, because like to some degree, the reason why all the games kind of devolve into that is because at some point you have a bunch of people who've been playing it and have farmed or gotten really good cards, right? And there's a whole bunch of new people that they want to buy into their game, but they don't want to because everyone's already stacked to the nines. So
Yeah.
the way they encourage people to do that is like, all right, like join and you get X amount of like free summons, right?
Or
And
you get crafting material. Like I think
right, you just
Master Duel
spam you
has
with good
done.
shit, and it pulls you in, right? Because and I am a firm believer that the way those gotcha like there's got to be like an algorithm in there for like if you haven't played in a while or if you're just playing for the first time where they like swing the shit in your favor.
Probably, yeah. I mean, they
Probably
want you.
because
They
you
don't
picked
want
up
you to.
Dokkan like for the past like 2 weeks and you've gotten the banner like person
Yeah,
three
the tier
times.
person of that.
Like
So like that's the thing. That's the other thing too. Is like Dokkan and all these other gotcha games have had like a sub crafting material into it. Where I think the card games do this better than the Dokkan games because the card games are basically just saying, hey, you can craft whatever card you need or whatever unit you want to make to help to help you out for pretty much next to nothing.
hmm
But the crafting materials is what you have to farm for. And it's
right.
like I think that balances the game out a little bit for people who are like, well, I've never played this before. Like I saw this deck on the internet. I don't really have all the cards. I'll just put them into this slot or like save this image. I'll just work towards it. And by the time I work towards it, like I'll have all these things. I'll understand the game. I know how to play it. I can go online and like fight other people.
Yeah.
I think that's a very balanced way of presenting all this out.
But I also to go along with the whole like I'm older now, I don't care about multiplayer. Is I guess this doesn't apply to you though because you're talking about Master Duel, right? But
Yeah.
Dokkan doesn't have a multiplayer like at all,
Yeah, I
and
kind of
I
wish they
have been
did.
obsessed with it for years, and I don't have a problem with the fact it doesn't have a multiplayer at all.
I think it's because of the animations and everything that
They're actually
revolving
so good
around.
though.
Yeah, I mean
They're
they
getting
basically have
so good.
improved. They've
I don't know if
improved
you've noticed, but they're
drastically.
they're also like they're also making their own at this point. I knew that would happen. Like
Yeah,
like now the animations are not canonical. Like they are not not copy pasted, but they're not like, recreating attacks from the anime. Like they still are for some cards, but like for like the Bulma and Oolong card you just pulled like they don't that's not a real animation in the real anime.
well, yeah, I know Shenron doesn't come down and strike down your enemies. I mean,
Yeah,
that's kind of
right. So but anyway. Yeah, for those who don't know,
but
we're
like,
talking about Dokkan Battle, which is a Dragon Ball Z gacha game that because we both loved Dragon Ball Z when we were little. So
see now the thing that I'm really excited for that's coming out in a few months that is also both single player and
I know
multiplayer.
what you're gonna say.
And I, and I think that they're going to have a lot of similar things as the Tenkaichi 4.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for that because that is
So how many
basically
of those
time.
did you play when you were a kid? Did you play them
All of
all?
them. I played all of them
Oh, okay.
from Budokai Tenkaichi 3 to 1 to the awful one that is basically you can't change your character's transformation unless you go back to the main menu and then flip up on their character screen. You're like, I really wanted to cycle through Goku's forms because in my like scenario head, I just wanted to have something to fight with.
Of course.
I was like, oh, okay, well, now I have to go back to the main screen and go, But the other aspect of it too is the ones that I'm really excited for that are coming out are all single player games. There's the Wolverine game being made by Insomniac. There's the Spider-Man game being made by Insomniac.
God, they're making so many Spider-Man games.
What?
They're making so many Spider-Man games. I feel like they come out with so many of those.
I've only come out with 3, really.
That's so not true. They've had more Spider-Man games. Come on.
They have, but they're not the Sony original, like the PS4 Spider-Man storyline, which those are fantastic. But, I mean, the thing is, like, I think single-player games, especially when it comes to, like, Elden Ring or Dark Souls or anything that has, like, a hard kind of boss system where Elden Ring was tough. I quit that game after trying to get a freaking katana. I was like, I am not good at facing big bosses and being strategic. I like to go in and swing a big thing around and hope to God I hit something.
You know, this is supposed to be an engineer's podcast. You don't sound particularly engineering when you're like, I just want to swing a big thing around.
Well,
what are your qualifications, sir? Like, excuse me.
My qualifications are I got my degree. I'm basically still a child when it comes to a power fantasy. That's literally all.
Wow,
it is.
Didn't have to.
I mean, like didn't
have to summarize yourself that bad. Shit.
Yeah, I mean, there are certain bosses where I'll be strategic if I'm really having a problem and I'm trying to get through the story, and there's not a difficulty curve. I think then it becomes a point in my mind where I'm like, okay, I've seen this frame so many times. Like, if I dodge it, I counter and parry him here. Or I can use some really cheesy strategy to get around that. I have to face the boss, or like just stand on a perched leg and cast magic until he dies, or I run out of healing items and have to go fight it myself. But like, that's essentially where my gaming knowledge in single player comes to an end. Like the hard bosses in Dark Souls, Elden Ring, Star Wars, Survivor, Fallen Order, where they're all turned up to the 9s. I would just rush in there, try and do as much damage as possible, and hope I don't die.
But see, here's my thing, right? So you remember the thing I was talking about, being prepared. Dark Souls is a grindy game. Like, you can sit there, farm for hours, and have a pretty easy time with a good bit of the bosses, to my knowledge. So
true. That's gonna take you at least
it would take you, I think,
several hours in the first area. So that's what I did with Bloodborne. I don't know if you remember that game.
Oh yeah, I know. That's a Dark Souls game, basically.
Basically, I sat there for I would play with my friend Aaron and some people from high school, and we basically had a joke because I was in the starting area the entire time that they were playing in party chat, and they're like, Justin, what are you doing? You're just doing the same loop over and over and over again. I'm like, guys, I'm going to one-shot this boss.
Process, bro.
I'm like, I'm going to one-shot this boss. Like, you can't one-shot a boss in any game, in any Dark Souls game. I'm like, trust me, I'm going to one-shot this boss. I sat there for, I think, I put 23 hours into the game. They were like, we beat it. I'm like, I'm still trying to fight the first boss. I have yet to one-shot him. I'm gonna go one-shot him real quick.
When I was a kid, when I first had grindy games, I would do the same thing, and I don't really know why I did that. But now I'm like, I don't have the time to fucking grind for 23 hours. But as a kid, I wanted to do the same thing. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we have a lot less responsibility as a child, where you're like, I don't have to pay a mortgage, I don't have to pay bills, I don't have to cook for myself, I don't have to clean anything, I don't have to do dishes, I don't have to work.
Yeah, it's like I would wake up in the summer. I would wake up in the summer and be like, I'm going to play Pokemon all fucking day long, and that's going to be the highlight of my week.
I'm not a child.
But honestly, if I did that now, I'd also be like, that is the highlight of my week.
But like, those are the games that I do. Like Pokemon, I have such an obscene amount of knowledge when it comes to Pokemon.
He does.
And it's just stupid.
We worry for him.
Very much so. Everyone worries for me for different reasons. Him for Pokemon, my parents for numerous reasons. But when it comes to like competitive, there's a whole other side to Pokemon for people who don't know. If you've been playing, if you just played as a child, if you just played
He's
as,
talking about the
someone,
sweaty side.
yeah, where you sit down and grind for hours fighting off freaking Rattatas to make sure that your Rattata is within the top 1% of
Oh
Rattatas.
yeah, that's you talking about what are they called? IVs?
Yeah, IVs, EVs. You breed your Rattatas, you throw away the ones that are defective, unless you get a shiny, in which case you
So
cherish that thing and put it in a box. Otherwise, you basically go, okay, well, I've destroyed the entirety of this Rattata population. I've basically become the pest control for Kanto. I My Charizard is level 100 after doing this,
oh god. Yeah.
but there's just an obscene amount when it comes to hidden abilities, cheap strats, using different items on your Pokemon to get maximum results. Like I know the new ones that we just got, Scarlet and Violet, they have legendaries in there that as soon as they enter the battlefield, they lower all of your opponent's stats. And people will cheese that by going, okay, I'm going to lead off with a very bulky Pokemon or a very like targetable Pokemon and let this one just kind of use a spread move and then swap in the new ones to get maximum amounts of damage.
Right. Yeah, I never really. I was always about the collecting in Pokemon. I didn't really care for the multiplayer, but
Yeah.
I love all the math behind it because I'm just a huge math nerd. Like I like all the calculation that goes into, forming a team and covering all your, you know, um, disadvantages. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing too, is like competitive, you can't do that.
Not
You
anymore,
can't
right?
cover you. Well, I mean, yes and no, but there are certain teams like you'll have coverage moves, of course. Like you're not going to go in with a full rain team and have only water moves and be like, well, this is what I'm doing.
Right, because you'll
Like you're
just
going to
get
have
annihilated by like your opponent's super effective type.
yeah. I mean, it's stupid, but at this point in time, like with the whole terrestrialization thing that's happening with
Yes.
Pokemon, they've basically made it to where you can become anything at any time, and it's really difficult to like account for human error. Like, sure, you can have strats or like what you think the best type is for a certain Pokemon,
Hmm.
but unless you're absolutely certain that's what they're running, you have no way of knowing.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Man, I also dislike that that's kind of the direction that I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just me being like misinformed. I just find it's a lot more complicated now. Like it's even harder for me to ever really get into it for that reason, I feel like.
But I have to give credit where credit is due. They've made getting to that level of competitiveness accessible for all players. Like I think that's where one of the side that Pokemon does really really well is that before you'd have to sit down, you'd have to grind and grind and grind and grind and get all of these dittos and hatch all of these eggs and put all of them all into a judging feature and make sure doing all of your math that all of the IVs were correct. Now you basically just get a Pokemon that you like, you give it a few bottle caps, and somehow magically they're like, "Well, I'm perfect."
Wow.
So I mean that's a nice aspect is that you can basically all you have to do is take the time EV train them, or if you have enough money to throw at the problem, you can throw enough money at the problem and train them that way.
Yeah, right.
Natures and everything else that are dependent on their stat increase and decreases, like they're also now available to change at any given time. So
Right.
you don't sit there and hope you get the best one with the best IVs. They're
So
taking a lot of the math out of it.
so I think this leads into another topic, right? So this leads into nowadays they're making video games much more accessible. And by accessible, I mean approachable. And then by approachable, I also mean just fucking, they're making them easier.
I'd have
Wouldn't
to
you? Would you
disagree
agree
with
with
you on
that?
that
Because
front.
I
No,
feel,
no, I would not. I
really,
mean, I think for kids games, absolutely. They like if you're not going to play, if you're playing anything that's rated E for everyone, and there's absolutely no like niche genre of the game,
yeah,
I think they've made it incredibly easy. Like they hold your hand pretty much regardless. Even in Pokemon, you can see that where
but Pokemon's
oh,
rated E for everyone. You think
yeah, but I
Pokemon
mean,
hasn't been getting easier as time has gone on? They added
no, the
EXP
competitive scene
share.
has gotten worse.
They added
The competitive
fucking EXP share.
Yeah, but the competitive aspect of it has gotten worse. That's what I'm saying is the niche because
Oh,
now
you're talking
that
about
it's
the
so
competitive
accessible for
thing.
everyone. Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying is like I have to agree to disagree on that one. I think
Mm,
if you're just playing story wise, it's become incredibly easy. Like they give you an
okay.
EXP share, they make sure that your Pokemon tough it out on 1 HP for a really tough battle because you're fucking stupid and decided I'm gonna switch my water type in to an electric type move, and you're like, okay, kid.
Okay.
We really don't want you to lose this important battle that you only have to do once, so we're just gonna have him tough it out at 1 HP, and then your next hit will definitely KO that Pokemon.
Hmm.
You're like, okay, like, or even with what was the other game I played? The one game that I played that did not hold my hand at all was the Sonic Frontiers. I still do not know how to beat the B level, and that's like the third level of the game, and I'm like, I'm just fucking done with this game. This is
I heard that
stupid.
was
I'm
good.
done.
I heard people liked that.
I heard it was
I heard
good
the
too, and
music
that's
was
why I bought it.
really
And
good.
I bought the game because it's good, and I used to play. Dude, I used to play the shit out of Sonic
Which Sonic
Unleashed as a
games did you
child.
play?
Sonic Unleashed,
I
the
didn't play.
Rainbow Racing one, I think, where you got like the three, uh, like team of three, where if you
I
chose
played
Sonic, you got
older
like
Sonics than you then.
yeah, probably.
I
I mean,
played.
I think I played Sonic Knights as well.
Oh yeah, you played a lot newer Sonics. I played Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. That was the best Sonic game that's ever been made. Mm,
What was that one about?
I'm pretty sure anyone who's an actual Sega fan will agree with that. I could be wrong. And then I played Sonic
Played
Heroes.
Sonic Generations
And then I
too.
also played Shadow the Hedgehog. I liked all three of those
Oh
games.
God, yes, Sonic Shadow the Hedgehog.
That game is just a meme now. But as a kid, that was like the first actual violent video game my parents ever let me have.
So like, here's a hedgehog with a fucking gun.
Yeah,
Go.
no, I tried to leave as many of those details out. The whole reason it was the most violent one was because it was like the first T game I was ever allowed to have.
I mean, that's the thing is like someone literally sat down in a Nintendo boardroom and went, "Okay,
It's
we
not
have to make a
Nintendo.
video." Yeah, I mean, it was
It's
released on the
Sega.
GameCube. Yeah, but it was released on the GameCube. Like someone greenlit this for being produced on a
Oh,
Nintendo
I see what
machine.
you're saying.
Like someone sat down in a boardroom and was like, "Okay, we need to come up with a GameCube game." And this guy, coked out of his mind, who just watched Die Hard for the fifth time in a row, was like, "Fuck it,
Let's give him a gun.
who's an edgy character that we have?" They're like, "We could use Bowser." He's like, "No, fuck it, we need someone all black with red stripes." They're like, "We could use Shadow." He's like, "Fuck it, let's give Shadow his own Demon Blaze storyline with guns."
But
Go.
it was, I don't know, it's a meme, but it was actually like a good game. It was a really cool concept because like the main
Yeah, but I don't know
story.
if I ever beat it.
No,
I
no,
feel
you,
like the
oh,
main
you
story
had
just
to
went
have
around in a
beat it,
circle.
bro. You had to have beat it because there's only like 6 or 7 levels in the game.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was like
Well,
super
let me
short.
rephrase that. There's only 6 or 7 maximum levels in like one storyline, and you could beat the game in like hundreds of combinations, and that was the whole thing. You were gonna try and like find the way to get as many combinations as you could, because they all had like interesting endings or interesting like titles of like what they are.
I
Because
think
you
there was
could
a
go
good
through
and
the
a
game
bad
and make
ending, right?
Shadow like literally, I'm just gonna kill Sonic and I'm just gonna be a total dick to everybody, And
I think that's what I did, and I think I decapitate, or like I think you shoot Sonic in the head.
one of them was really hard. I think it was actually, to be good, was really difficult. If I remember, I could be wrong.
Hmm.
I don't remember. It was a good game though. I liked it.
Yeah. Trying to think of what other edgy games there were as a child. Like I remember playing GTA in high school and was like, okay, I just beat up a random hooker for the fifth time today. Like
Oh,
this is getting
GTA.
boring.
Right. I don't think I really had many edgy games. I had just a lot of, I don't know, games that I just loved that were very RPG-esque. Like, I loved Paper Mario was, like, my thing. I loved that series. And I actually completed a playthrough, like, a few weeks ago before...
Have you speedrun that yet?
No, dude. Speedrunning Paper Mario would take me, like, way too long. Like, Thousand Year Door, I think it's at least 5 hours for just to beat it. Which I don't have that kind of time. I barely have enough time to do Metroid Fusion, which is, I only speedrun 2 games. I speedrun Metroid Fusion and Metroid Zero Mission. And they're both under 2 hours. They're like like an hour and a half. Not even for zero mission, but
I think
that's
the only game
doable
I've
for
tried
me.
to speedrun,
What's
and
that?
I say speedrun. I think the only game I've tried to speedrun, and I say speedrun because I basically like started it, played it for like a half hour, got really really far, and then had to go somewhere. I only had like a half hour of game time, and then would come back to it, play it for another half hour. Like I don't know if those count or if it has to be one consecutive. Like,
Yeah, it kind of.
sit
I mean,
down.
it kind of. It depends, right? So, like the way that speedruns work is the rules are all dictated by the speedrun.com page. Like the community itself will say like for example, for I think for Breath of the Wild, like the 100% run, like you're allowed like 3 breaks of up to 8 hours or something like that. I don't know, but it all depends. You know, if you're playing a game that takes over 10 hours so that more people will join the community, they'll make it more approachable and they'll be like, okay, well, you can take like, an hour break or like a 2 hour break because, people gotta fucking eat and shit,
Yeah.
Like, I think Mario Galaxy has that too, like a 100% run of that, because that's like, I think 240 stars in some cases. So that's a really long time. That's like 7 hours, I think.
I don't have 7 hours of time to do that.
Not a lot of people do, so they want to make it more approachable for your average dude, not just someone who's either still living with their parents or you know what I mean. Like, I don't know, someone who actually like at least someone who like has a maybe a significant other. It is so much harder to find time to do shit. So
Oh yeah. Oh.
But yeah. So we've been talking for 31 minutes. So when do we end the podcast?
I would say this has been very, very conductive.
This has been very conductive. What does that mean?
I mean, productive. Sorry, I think it's been. Yeah, we basically have been very conductive in which we just ran electricity because we've been just spitting.
Oh, shut the fuck up. That doesn't make any sense. All right. Anyway, yeah, this has been great, and we'll see everyone on the next episode of whatever the fuck we decide to talk about then.
Yeah, we need some more topics, and I think this is a good first step.
If anyone has
let us know how you like it.
suggestions, if anyone's watching this, feel free, and we'll probably do it because that would be.
Oh
our
yeah,
first
we're definitely getting the top of the YouTube algorithm with a 31-minute video of talking about absolute.
It could
bullshit
happen. I think
with
this
no
stock
hashtags.
image of this man with his yellow phone is really gonna just set us
You-
off.
You have to give it like the most clickbaity title. Here's of the Kingdom, massive spoiler alert.
Stop. Yeah, because that's what makes people click on it. Anyway, this has been great. We'll see you guys next time.
Alrighty.
Bye-bye.